Let's do it.
Can rip. All right. We good? All right. Welcome to the Iron and Ethos podcast. My name's Andrew. This is my co host, Dash. We're here to talk about health, fitness, coaching, bodybuilding, and just overall mindset growth. So let's get into it.
That's got to be nice right there.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So we were just talking about how I just started prep. I'm 19 weeks out. You're like, yeah, go get that pro card.
Yes, sir.
It's like,
Absolutely.
hey, the way I'm thinking about it is I'm just going to tick my boxes every day, control everything that I can control, and, put in the best effort that I can put in. And then I'll just show up, present what I got, and then let the cards fall where they fall.
Absolutely. I love to
So,
hear that, man. One thing I wanted to ask you, what's different this time? Is there a shift in your mentality? Do you want to go deeper? Like, is that pro card really like the prize in sight? What's different about this prep for you, Andrew?
yeah. So I've had previous preps that I actually didn't finish because my chronic stress and stuff was too high that it just blunted fat loss. So this time I've kind of shifted my mentality to be very process driven about things instead of outcome driven. So I'm not thinking about my placing all the time. I'm not thinking about getting the pro card and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm just trying to go day by day and just have perfect days and string those together. Follow the plan. I trust my coach. He's one of the best in the game, and we'll see what I got. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of kind of going through the process, not only for someone that's into like competitive bodybuilding, but just anyone trying to get fit. It's just trying to check off those boxes every single day and like Andrew said, string together those perfect days. Over time they compound and your mind has this ability to really get addicted to what's good. So you check off those boxes like for example, Andrew in his kitchen has like a whiteboard calendar where he's able to check those boxes. And I know for certain when you do that at the end of the day, you see all those boxes are checked off. He even has a little box that says perfect day, that it's an instant reward to your brain. And you know that if you check off all those boxes that you're gonna have a good day and the progress is eventually gonna be given to you, right?
Mhm. Mhm. We got to do the things that we commit to in order to get to the goal that we're committed to working towards. And it's hard, It's hard. The other night, I was checking off my boxes of all the things that I did that day, and I wanted to check that perfect day box, but I still had that steps box to check. I checked my watch. I was at 7,500 steps, so I went for a quick 10-minute walk,
Mm-hmm.
got that extra 1,000 in. It was like 10 o'clock. I was ready for bed. I had my blue light blocking glasses on already and everything, but it's like, I committed to this goal. I committed to these steps to get to that goal, and I got to do it.
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna do it.
and bodybuilding, it's one of those things where, obviously in 99.9% of the cases, like your coach is not going to be there monitoring your
Yeah,
every move, right? Like
yeah.
it can be like the devil's always going to be present, right? And he makes his presence felt in everything that you do. So that extra amount of food that you say, I'm like my coach is not looking, like I could get this extra. But then again, we have to remind ourselves, that we committed to something out of our own free will. Like no one
Mm-hmm.
is pushing us or
Mm-hmm.
making us do something as a bodybuilding prep, right? It's something that we promised to ourselves, and it is our responsibility at the end of the day for us to just execute, right? Because it's
Yep.
not just for us, but it's also a direct reflection of our coach, right? We want to make our coach look the best that we can, as well as us, right?
That's right. I mean, Dom won't even let me on stage if I'm not there.
Yeah,
So, yeah, it's, but yeah, it's just doing the things day in, day out. And you're right, we're choosing to do this. And that's like a constant reminder. And especially with bodybuilding, like I tell people all the time, bodybuilding is a country club sport, bro. Like it's a very expensive hobby.
hmm
And bodybuilding, like competing in bodybuilding, that's not going to pay me back.
yeah, no, no.
Like, sure, I have a business built within the sport and ingrained in it, but that that's different. That takes a whole lot of other work.
hmm
The competing side and
Absolutely.
getting on stage side. man, that's passion.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that. I just That's also just being grateful to be able to walk this path. Because bodybuilding's done so much for me in instilling that disciplined and structured lifestyle, and it's a pure reflection of the work that you put into something is what you're going to get out of it.
Absolutely.
And that spreads to all other aspects of life. It's
Yeah,
just like,
just like you're saying, man, it bleeds into other areas of your life. So you see what can happen by being so disciplined and locked in for months at a time and having this showcase on stage, right? So it goes into the same thing with like building a business, like things that me
mm-hmm,
and yourself are doing on an everyday basis. The
mm-hmm,
more work that we put into it, the better that we get at it, the more information that we are learning is going to make our service better, right? So it's the same thing with stepping on stage and doing all these months of dieting, training hard even when you don't want to. I'm sure that there's days where me and yourself wake up and the last thing we want to do is hop on the computer and especially when there's not a direct form of compensation in the second, there's no instant gratification, right?
oh yeah,
It's months of building and building and building to really give that best service out, but it takes discipline.
mm-hmm,
But the human, Pacheco and I were just talking about this actually. The human likes comfort, right? We want to be comfortable. We don't like doing things that are out of our realm, and it gets hard to do that. But once we break that box, break that barrier, it really goes to show you that the world really can be yours if you want it to be, right?
right. And that word comfort, man, it's a nice cushy word, and we're attracted to it. Obviously, um, we're we're kind of built to be attracted to comfort,
Absolutely.
even though sometimes seeking comfort is gonna get us further away from what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning. Um, there's some mornings where I want to lay in my nice warm beds with my dogs cuddling me and in my comfortable bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I got stuff to do. I got a business to build. I got clients to serve. I got stuff I need to learn. I got bodybuilding prep to do. And none of that's going to get done. And I'm not going to accomplish any of that if I stay in comfort.
Yeah, it's a killer, man.
Yeah,
If we decide to just do what makes us comfortable, then how can we expect to grow in any sort of way, right? Goes back to
absolutely.
the thing like stepping on stage is something it's one of the most uncomfortable things like that you can possibly do. We were having this conversation, how I was serving tables and it was getting really hard to see all that fast food on the expo line and having to go and be someone that's enthusiastic and charismatic, to try to pay my bills with tip money, right? Just bare bones, basic. But once I finally got to that stage and, it really helped launch my business and I saw that there was potential. And I also just found something that I truly was passionate about, right? I was
Yeah.
always I was always into sports as a kid and growing
Mm-hmm.
up. The thing that's different about bodybuilding and a typical sport like basketball, baseball, football, and it's really a team effort. Not to say that bodybuilding is not, because you have your coach, all the people that are supporting you. It is a team sport,
Yeah.
but you are a lot more responsible for the outcome than these other team sports like baseball and basketball, where there's 30 to 50 guys all on the same roster, right? So that's what I really like about it. If I do the things that I'm supposed to do, I know that the outcome is going to be projected to be better than if I didn't, right? I am responsible for what's going on in a way, right?
Absolutely. And that I was a wrestler in high school, and that's a one-on-one mano-a-mano sport.
Mm-hmm.
So you are responsible for your own outcome. You don't have a teammate to blame.
Mm-hmm.
You can blame the ref, but at the end of the day, if somebody puts you on your back, that's your own fault.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the word goes to
So
show, right?
so I think that's one of the reasons why I got drawn to competing in bodybuilding is it's all on me, and I like that pressure,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And but there is like a kind of team component to bodybuilding. Obviously, you are the one doing everything, like doing all the actions. But I have a coach. I have
Mm-hmm.
supporters. I say this all the time. My wife, it's the achievements that I get in bodybuilding, she's as big as part of that stuff
Boom.
as
Love that.
I am, because she still has to sacrifice date nights and stuff. She's going on walks with me when she doesn't want to, just so I have somebody to go with to get my steps in. She makes all my food, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, I couldn't do this without her. So there is that big support aspect, but still, if I don't eat my meals or if I eat a big ass pizza and
Mm-hmm.
prep, that's all on me. That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with her,
Yeah, right. And it's gonna show, like, that one of the things that my coach always pointed to me, they're like, hey, you gotta be on track because those lights are bright and they will expose any little deficiency that you have more than that mirror that you have at your house or in your gym or anywhere else, right? You could think, oh, I'm far ahead, like I'm good to go, like this is fine. But at the end of the day, you have a coach that cares about you and has dedicated a lot of their time to
hmm
build out this blueprint where we just have to execute. And us as coaches, I feel like it's easier for us to understand because we know the good feeling when someone sends their check-ins and things are really going to plan. It is one of the most rewarding feelings in the world to see someone starting to step into the most confident version of themselves on a week to week basis, right? It's
Yep.
more than just the money. A lot of people think that, coaches are doing this solely for the money because there's a lot of money in the fitness industry. But
hmm
honestly, if you took the money out of it, right, if dollars didn't exist in the world, this is one of the most fulfilling jobs. And we know because we've experienced it before. In my case, I was a fat kid who turned into a really skinny kid who had all these body confidence issues. And it affected me on an everyday basis, right? If you can't love yourself, you can't love other people. So seeing the changes in our clients, I'm sure that you can
Yeah.
agree on this, is one of the most fulfilling things in the world.
Yeah. I was on the phone with a client yesterday. We were talking about something, how I dealt with an injury a couple years ago and I couldn't really train upper body for a month and I had that training ripped from me. And he's like, "Man, that's your dopamine hit." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction from my training sessions. That's why I'm a bodybuilder because I
Mm-hmm.
love to train." But know what's a huge dopamine hit? Know what really really makes me happy is when I go through check-ins and I see clients win.
Mm-hmm.
When we're not only making progress towards our physique goals, but we're also just making that internal progress too. We have the increased confidence, increased energy, our inflammation's down so we feel a lot better
Absolutely.
and everything in life is just going better and you're getting jacked at the same time.
It's a win-win, man.
Yeah,
You got to
man.
make the sacrifices for it.
hmm
Living in a society where food is so bioengineered and highly palatable for the same reasons, man. And you really got to understand everything from a business aspect, right? Food manufacturers, right? Like restaurants, and they want as much business as they can get,
Yeah.
right? So they're
Yeah.
gonna do what's in their best power and interest to give the consumers the best product they can, so that they keep coming back. Once you take that kind of notion out of your brain, right, everything starts to change. And for my clients, one thing that I really preach is do it for how you feel. If you
Yep.
do it for how you feel, you will get addicted to feeling good all the time, to know exactly what's going into your body and what it's doing to you. And you see the output like on a day-to-day basis, right?
hmm
There's that saying, it only takes 20 something days to build a habit, right? I tell them, let's get past this first month. Like, struggle, it's going to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would walk around jacked. Everyone would. But what makes it
yeah.
cool too is that, when a person that's in shape comes into a room, like, even before you have a conversation with them, what's the first thing that pops in your head? For a lot of us, for at least me, it's like, wow, that guy has a ton of discipline.
Yep.
A ton of discipline, right? Especially if it's someone, in their 20 to 30s, where those are times where people in our society, like, their number one thing is just to go out, drink alcohol, party, chase skirts, and do all that stuff, right? Um, and it just goes to show, like, when you really just have that discipline, like, things in life can really start to get better.
Absolutely. It's if I was hiring people, this is gonna sound really judgmental, but it's the truth. If I was hiring people and I had one person who was in shape and one person who was out of shape,
Mm-hmm.
everything else being the same, I know that person who's in shape knows how to commit to something
Mm-hmm.
and how to say no and how to set boundaries and stuff. I'm gonna go with that person because
Absolutely.
you can't buy that. You can't buy a physique. You
Mm-hmm.
have to earn it. In in that process, in that journey of earning it, you develop up here
Yeah.
too. You develop so many attributes. I was I was talking to a business mentor, and we were talking about content creation and stuff, and me being more consistent with that. And he said, "Man, how about you list off all the attributes that you've learned in bodybuilding?" I list them all off. Discipline, consistency, setting boundaries, doing what you want to do when you don't want to do it. He goes, all those things that you've developed, you just apply that to the content creation, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know why that didn't click before you said it, but
Yes.
absolutely.
There you go, man. Yeah, sometimes it also just takes, another person to kind of
Yeah.
see and believe, in what you're doing. And I feel like that's how we've gotten to the point where we're at right now. But it's super satisfying. I wanted to retouch on that, what you were talking about with your wife, right, and how she's your best friend and she got you through the prep.
Yeah.
Shout out to my girlfriend Trinity. I met her, and 2 months into us, talking and being together, I was like, babe, I got this opportunity. I really want to do a bodybuilding prep. And from day one, she's been super supportive. Keep in mind, like, it was 2 months into the relationship, us just barely starting to get to know each other. And she decided to go and dive right into the deep end with me, right? And like you said, she was cooking my meals, going on those long walks when she didn't have to. Like, she has her own life and a bunch of other responsibilities, yet she decided to set some time apart to help me in my own journey. And she was the first person to congratulate me when I was on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, she's the one that keeps it going. So even though, I was very adamant in saying that, we enjoy bodybuilding because we are responsible. It does take that tribe. It takes a tribe of people that believe in you, that understand the sport of bodybuilding too, because for
Right.
the average person, they're not going to understand.
Yep.
If we go to a family outing or something and they have food set out, you're here with your meal prep, and they're like, you're in great shape. Like, you don't need that, right? Like, you're taking it to the extreme. But in the end of the day, it's just them being unaware of like the sport that we compete in, right? And even
Yeah.
though it is getting more and more popular by the day, it's still not something that's just widespread knowledge, right?
Right. Yeah. People, it is getting more popular, and I think more people know about it and respect it. But I don't think people know exactly
Yeah.
what it takes. They go, "Oh, you doing macros?" I'm like, "No, dude. I weigh everything out to the gram and eat the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that, but that's what you have to do if you're trying to get shredded. If
Absolutely.
you're trying to have the most best results possible.
Yeah, to be competitive, right?
Yeah,
Like those are the things that you have to do. It's just it's a given. You have to do that, or else good luck on that stage, right?
yeah,
Months down the line.
yeah. It's if you're cutting corners somewhere, some other guy isn't. They're gonna beat
Exactly.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to say that all the time wrestling, because I would work out, because I was really into lifting weights while I was wrestling, so I would lift weights every day and practice every day. So I was working out 2 times a day, and I always tell myself when I didn't want to go, be like, yeah, the guy that you're gonna wrestle a year from now, he's not sitting on his couch right now. He's getting after it, and
Yep.
he's getting better than you.
Yep.
So sometimes just doing those things that you don't want to do because that if you don't, somebody's going to beat you.
Absolutely.
The thing about bodybuilding though is I think of it more as like a me versus me journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm trying to beat another person. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself that I'm trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
So then the way I think about it is there's a best version of me out there, and he's doing his cardio that I don't want to do. And if I get on stage with that guy, he's gonna beat me.
Yep.
And I don't
Absolutely.
want the best version of myself to beat me. I want to be that best version of myself.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That's it's funny you say that. So, the first time that my coach and I actually trained together when we were on this prep, I took my shirt off. We were hitting a back day. Things were starting to look really good. I've seen lines and striations that I've never seen in my life. And he told me, he's like, Dash, like, we have a good chance. Like, you're gonna do really freaking well in this show. And in what I told him, right? I told him, I don't want to say that, man. Like, I don't want to say that. I don't want to get a big head. Like, I want
Yeah.
to keep myself locked in and focused. And what he responded to, and I still take it to this day, in this sport, you still have to have a dog eat dog mentality. You
Yeah.
have to. It's not about surpassing someone else and being better than someone else, right? It's about being better than yourself, beating
Mm-hmm.
the last package that you brought on stage,
Mm-hmm.
doing everything possible in your control to be a better version of yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's what it gets you. You can't sit in this place where it's like, well, whatever happens, happens. You have to be dialed in. You have to say, this is how it's going to go, and I'm going to do everything in my power for it to go like that. And if the results that I want, the outcome, isn't, what I want it to be, then I know what I got to do next time. And I'm going to keep chipping away and getting better and getting better. As we know, this sport is the furthest thing possible from instant gratification and instant dopamine, right? It is, you have to go through those dog days, whether you like it or not. It's affecting everything else that you do in life. But really what mentality you have and what perspective you have on it really is going to change, right? Even on those low days where you don't feel like doing anything, you still go into the gym, you give it your best. You still eat those meals, even though you're freaking starving. You get those boxes checked off, and you know that the next day you just got a little bit better, and that's a pat on the back.
Exactly. And you know what I tell clients as a reframe when they say, "Yeah, I'm getting real hungry lately." Tell them, "Good. That means you're burning
It's a
fat."
good signal, baby.
If
It's a
your
good
body's asking
signal.
for fuel, then it's going to pull that fuel from somewhere else. You know what it's going to pull that
The
fuel?
fat
The
storages,
fat
baby. Let's
storages.
go. Yup.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all
Exactly.
about how you see things, right?
Yeah.
So those clients are like, man, I'm really feeling hungry. A way to restructure that thought is,
Yeah.
man, I'm really starting to burn some fat.
You're
I'm
right.
really gonna start making some progress.
Hmm.
Because my body is telling me like, okay, like there's something different that's going on.
It's like even in a very short perspective of it is, if you're in the middle of a set and you're 8 reps deep on a hack squat, you got 2 reps left in the tank. Those reps are gonna hurt, but those
Those are
reps,
those are the money makers.
yeah, those are gonna count. We're not
Absolutely.
leaving gains on the table. You
Absolutely,
know?
man. Yeah, it's approaching everything with the
Yeah.
same structure that we have with bodybuilding, right? With going into the gym and training, it's stimulus, stimulus, stimulus,
Hmm.
right? It's the same thing with everything else, man. Like
Yeah.
if it's hard, those days where we're up late at night doing check-ins and structuring out new plans and stuff,
Hmm.
we could leave it for the next day, right? But we're like, you know what? Let's get this done. I know I'm gonna feel better about it tomorrow.
Yep.
It's always like that page out of the Daily Stoic, which Andrew actually showed me that book. It's been one of the most life-changing books that I've ever read. So appreciate you for that. But it was about the pleasure versus pain, right? You got
Hmm.
to think of everything with the consequences attached to it, not just like the middle feeling, right? You got to think about everything with the consequences. Say that you're up at 12 o'clock, you're super hungry, you're snacky. There's chips, there's cookies, the whole 9 yards. They're in the fridge. They're a couple steps away from your bedroom. And if you looked at it just like pleasure versus pain, the instant pain's like, my stomach might not feel that good, right? Whatever. Instant pleasure is, oh my, like my dopamine's gonna spike because this food is so palatable and good. But you're not attaching it to tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna feel like shit. Or look, I just added 500 ghost calories into my plan, right? And I'm asking, why have I not changed a week down the line? And it's because of those small decisions, right? But once you
Yep.
look at it with the consequence attached to it, it starts to become less and less, pleasing to the eye, right? Like pleasing to the mind. Like, why would I do this when I know that these consequences are attached? If I just don't do it, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, I'm gonna feel better. You got to
Yeah.
think about tomorrow's version of yourself, right?
Yeah. Just that long-term thinking. It's that long-term consequences and the long-term pleasure. It's and normally the stuff that are going to give you the short-term consequences, like being hungry, and the hard stuff. That's the stuff you kind of got to lean into because it's going to
Hmm.
reward the long-term pleasure. They kind of run
And they
opposite
feel
of each other.
that long term stuff feels so much better
Oh,
at the end
so
of the
much
day
better.
than that short term stuff, right?
Yeah.
With my clients, I set the example. It's like we've seen what a good check in feels like. A good check in, man, a
Yeah.
check in where, say that we have a client on a weight loss program, they lost 2 pounds that week, right? And that was our
Hmm.
goal.
Yeah.
That
That's great.
pleasure, like that feeling from the coach's end and the athlete's end, it's money and it feels really damn good. And it sets you up like the next week, you go into everything with elevated confidence. You're like, you know what? I did this shit before already. Why not replicate it and do it over and over again till I get to the point where I want to get to, right?
Yeah. I think that's why I like the weekly check-in process from a client perspective, and even I am a client. It is rewarding that way, um, because you tick those boxes on your check-in sheet. Any adherence issues, any meals off plan. I, my check-in sheet is coded to go red if they say, or if they say no meals off planet, it goes green. If they say yes, it goes red. And that's just so I can find things faster, but also it elicits a little response that way. So that whole weekly check-in process every week where you do your check-in, everything lights up green. I see it, everything lights up green. Feels great.
It's a good sight to see.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
from
Good feeling.
both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Because my coach does that same color coding process,
Yeah,
so
nice,
I know
nice.
exactly how it goes.
So I wanted to ask you, Andrew. So say when a lead comes into you, right, into your business,
Hmm.
is there anything that you're looking for in athletes? Do you have like a decision-making process when deciding whether you do want to go on board with this athlete or with this client?
Um, yeah, I mean, I want people who want to get after it. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. It doesn't matter if you're coming to me as an elite bodybuilder or you're coming to me and you're not even working out or eating a structured nutrition program right now. It doesn't matter where we're starting from. What I'm looking for is the effort that you're willing to put into something and just the that you want to learn. And it's not like we're going to have 100% compliance the first
Mm-hmm.
week. But if we're learning, if we're adjusting, and if you're communicating with me, then that's great.
Absolutely.
Uh, I think one of the biggest things with clients, and I say this all the time, is the clients who communicate the most get the best results, man.
On hammer on the nail.
Yeah,
Yes, that is so true. When you have a clear communication channel with a client, right, and a client's telling you like I'm feeling like this, oh I just hit a workout and it felt really good. I feel like it incentivizes them even more to like continue going because
yeah,
they're hiring us to have someone to kind of not necessarily hold their hand through the process, but just to be there with them.
yeah.
To have like someone just making sure that everything is going smooth and someone that's educated enough to make educated changes when those are needed,
Hmm.
right? So when I've had a personal really good communication channels with clients, I've noticed that those clients are the ones that tend to get closer to their goals faster.
Yeah, yeah. It and I tell people, look, I'm not your mom. I'm not here to hold your hand through the park, but I am your guide,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm not gonna just tell you, oh, you had a bad week, do better,
Mm-hmm.
and just send that as the check-in reply.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna look for, what adversity did you face you that made it so we didn't check all of our boxes? Was it we didn't have food ready? Okay, then let's teach them and try and look into their schedule for the week and see which days we can do batch meal prepping. Teach them about that so that we always have food ready to go. Like, I don't know. I'll show you my fridge after this, but
Yeah.
dude, I just have big buckets of chicken, vegetables, and then I have my rice cooker on the counter.
Everything's ready to
Eh,
go.
It's I have no excuses. I just got to take it out and weigh it.
Yeah,
You know,
it's taking out all the guesswork from it
right?
too. I've had a couple of clients who are truck drivers, and they asked me, and I was so happy that they asked me to do this because I want to be as on board and helping my clients as I can. But they were like, we're just struggling to know exactly when to eat our meals. Like they don't
Hmm.
have a schedule, right, where they eat their meals, and they said that was something that would truly benefit them. So I took like their work schedule, the time that they wanted, like for example, off
Yeah,
the last couple of hours of the night, whatever it may be, and set out time by time, like let's go 10 o'clock, it's meal one, 12 o'clock, meal two, whatever. And that helped them, you know? So when a client comes to you and communicates clearly what they need, and everyone's needs are going to be different,
yep,
it makes it so much easier for us to provide a better service. So like,
yeah,
absolutely, I'll help you schedule out these meals. You know, if it's gonna make you stick to the plan more,
right.
then absolutely, because it goes back like we're getting dopamine too from a good check-in sheet because it's also telling us that we're doing something right.
Yeah,
You know that this business that we're putting so much time, time and sacrifice into is actually producing fruit, and that's what we want.
yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's all about impact, man. We're just trying to impact people
Absolutely.
and provide value to their lives. I would do this for free if I didn't have bills to pay.
Absolutely on the
But
money.
if I did it for free, I'd have to work another job, and then I couldn't put up my all-in effort on coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just providing that impact, and when we get that feedback that we are providing that impact, we are providing that value, So we're
Great.
doing our jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We're living the dream, you
Exactly.
know?
Oh, totally living the dream, man. And one thing, Andrew and I have talked about this plenty of times, but it's just the sheer fact of just gratitude, right? Feeling
Yeah.
gratitude. Gratitude. I'm not quoting this from anywhere, but I've heard it and it makes total sense. Gratitude and anxiety can't coexist, right? When you're feeling grateful for things, when you are very aware of having a roof over your head, having food on the table, access to clean water, in our case, we're able to chase our dream every single day without having to
Mm-hmm.
work another job, which is something that we've both experienced.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dang hard to try to put all those things together. But now we're pursuing bodybuilding, and what's our job? We're coaching other people. So
Yeah.
like even deep into prep, it's like it was motivating for me, even though I was struggling, but I knew I'm helping these guys change their lives. I know that they're struggling in their own way. Let me, it forced me to be a better athlete too,
Mm-hmm.
but just being grateful, even on those dog days where we're not feeling good, it's like we're doing this out of our own free will. No one's forcing us to do this. We're free. We're able to express ourselves. We have all these things that a lot of the other people on the planet just don't have, and they wish, people in hospital beds would give up anything to be in our shoes, and to do things that we take for granted. Training on a low day, guess what? There's someone that would give up everything to train on a low day when they're feeling like crap, right?
Yep. Yeah. I've been there. I'll tell you the story some other time, but I've been in the hospital for a week. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to bodybuild again. So I literally have been there and have that gratitude of being able to just bodybuild every day. And honestly, from the business perspective and being a coach, it's still hard. Like it's still a job. We still have hard days. We still
Mm-hmm.
need to do things we don't want to do because you and me, we don't have $1 million coaching businesses. We're doing everything
Yeah,
ourselves,
all manual.
everything, and it's a lot of stuff. Um, but it's Alex Hermosi talks about this. It's having something that you're passionate about just makes you be willing to suffer for that
Mm-hmm.
a
Changes
lot
everything.
more, man. Because when I was working in nursing homes and stuff, it is working in like our messed up medical system. Yeah, I didn't have any passion for
Yeah,
that.
and there wasn't an incentive for you to
Right,
to work any harder. If you're
right.
getting paid the same amount of your paycheck's the same thing every week, what incentive, like financially, does it have for you to like
Yeah,
go above and beyond? So that's what happens. Like, people are staying kind of in that middle line, whereas in coaching, you definitely do have an incentive to get better
oh
and,
yeah.
and to do things the right way. You're gonna get people that refer you to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients are literally they're your marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally your marketing. They showcase that what you're doing works, and there is incentive to make sure that all those clients are staying as compliant as possible, so that they get the best product, right? They get the best result, and that's just going to bring in a lot more people. So this is a job, a passion where there is incentive to get
Yeah.
better, and like you said, that incentive is usually the factor that pushes you through those days where you are not feeling like doing it, right?
Right. And I do a lot of like furthering education stuff, and I'm always studying and reading and stuff because I want to just be the best coach I can be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I and there's an incentive like yeah, I'm studying, I'm learning, I'm taking notes. Like there's no instant gratification
No,
there.
no,
I'm
not
not
at
getting
all.
paid for that.
Yeah, if anything, you're
But
paying money
yeah, no,
to,
I
yeah,
am, dude.
yeah.
It's but it's an investment into myself and my abilities as a coach, so that I can serve my clients better, and then if I get them better results, I'm going to grow my business
Mm-hmm.
and do more of what I love and impact more people and change more
Absolutely.
lives.
Yeah, as
You
coaches,
know?
we have to be completely willing and open to just learn new information because there's
Yeah.
studies that are being published every single day
Oh
that
man.
could contradict some of the main philosophies that we're using, right?
Right.
So it's not like Andrew and I started like this whole business and we have like a guideline of this is exactly what I'm going to do and it's not going to change, right? As we keep learning new things, if it works, like we'll implement it,
Yeah.
For me, it's been carb cycling. So I've done carb cycling before in my prep, and it really freaking worked, and it worked fast. And I have a couple of really clients that really want it. And I know that carb cycling isn't the easiest thing to do, far from it. But those guys are really focused on dropping some significant weight, like before like the summer comes around, and it's worked wonders. It's worked
Yep.
wonders for them, and that's something that I had to educate myself on, because it's, even though I did it for myself, it varies from person to person.
It absolutely does. Carb cycling is an incredible thing.
It's
It's an
magic.
incredible tool to use, but I feel like it's finding how many extra carbs can I feed this person until we kind of overfed them,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So how high does their high day need to be? And that's
Mm-hmm.
different for everybody.
For everyone.
And how hard can we dig before we need another one?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just call it riding waves,
Yeah.
where I'll tell a client, I'll be like, hit 3 low days, and then on Wednesday morning, text me your weight. And then I'll make a decision on what they're going to do for that day or the next 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of just analyzing the biofeedback and seeing what's our next move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, before we wrap up today, I wanted to hit on one more topic. And we talked about this at the cigar shop the other day, but it's all about honesty, right? And things that we wish that we did better in the past in our own prep experiences. But going back to the communications that we're having with our clients, right? One thing that's really underrated is the honesty part, because as an athlete, right? An athlete that wants it, that's hungry, we're not going to admit certain things that in bodybuilding we have to admit.
Right.
So go ahead and talk to me a little bit more about your experience with the whole honesty thing when you went through prep.
So, okay. So, a little bit of background. I was in prep in 2024, and my show was in September. I got up until 4 weeks out, but from about 9 weeks to 4 weeks out, my weight stayed the same. Visuals were pretty much the same. We were just pushing harder and harder, carb cycling, trying every trick. I had a good coach. We're trying every trick we could. We just couldn't figure out, what was going on. And I ended up dropping from the prep. And it took me a while to kind of have the awareness going back and the awareness going forward now to understand what happened. But I was really stressed out, both from work and from stressing myself out on being outcome driven instead of process driven. I was focused on winning rather than just doing what I need to do. And I was just being a good bodybuilder and telling my coach, yes, sir, 2 hours of cardio. No problem, sir. No, I'm not hungry. Sleep is fine. All of that was not true. I wasn't deliberately lying, but I just wanted to be a good bodybuilder and impress him with my toughness.
Mm-hmm.
But that backfired completely. So it's so important as a client to give the right biofeedback. If sleep is not good, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
If life stress is insane, let us know. If you feel like your legs weigh 100 pounds each, mine might. No, I'm just kidding. But
I can verify that. Yeah, that's a true statement.
if you feel like you have an extra 45-pound plate tied to each leg, let us know, because that's all biofeedback, and we need to manage fatigue and recovery to get you the best results.
Yeah, we want to know where this inflammation, this sudden inflammation is coming from, right?
Right. So, how about you? Anything that you have done throughout your bodybuilding experience so far that you think you could do better?
For me, it was right on that with the
Yeah.
honesty, right? You want to, we talked about it, the dog eat dog mentality, that you do gotta want to be the absolute best, because it's a sport that doesn't really forgive when it comes to that, right? But my coach would always ask me, he's like, "How are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling?" What he was trying to get from me was the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
The truth, so that he can make the calculated decisions on his end. But I was always saying the same thing that you were saying. I'm good. I'm good to go. Like, I know that this shit's going to be hard. I'm fine. Like, don't worry about it. When I was dealing with like life stressors and I wasn't getting the best sleep and my inflammation was up, and he would ask me like, "Why do your check-in photos look like this? Like, why do we look like we're holding on to more water when X, Y, and Z is being done?"
Yeah.
And once, Sal had this talk with me in person. He kind of sat me down and said, "Dash, I know that you're competitive. I know that you want to win, but in order for us to do that, honesty is that first thing that we really need to break down and make sure that box is being checked." once I was really, expressive with him on how I was feeling, he knew when to give me that high day, and I would tell him like,
Mm-hmm.
Sal, honestly, bro, I feel like dog shit. Like I do not feel good. Gave me that high day. I started feeling great. The next check-in started looking better, and it was all like it's all a domino effect, right? But it really starts from just that clear communication, and it's not just you lying to another person, but it's you lying to yourself, and
Exactly.
you don't want that. You don't want to create that
Yeah.
habit. When you tell yourself that you want to do something, you want to make sure that you're being honest to yourself, because you either develop a really good mindset where you believe your word and you trust yourself. So anything that you say you do, you're going to do, or you're going to end up being this other person that's constantly lying to themselves, saying that they're going to start next month, saying that they're going to get better when this day comes around, that they're going to be happy when this day comes around. And you get nowhere. You stay at that zero level, right? So that's the most important thing that I learned. Let me be honest. Let the course do its work. I can only do so much, but if I hit everything as close to 100% as I can, then I can't be stressed about anything.
Right. Right. It's tick the boxes, be honest in your check-ins, be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I started journaling like 3 4 months ago. That's some powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
I have prompts that I do every day, unless I have like a Google Doc. I make like a different tab every day for it, and just copy and paste the prompts because I can't just write if I'm not prompted. But it's powerful stuff to check in with yourself, see where you're at, what's going well, what do I need to improve on. So it, if you have anybody listening, if you have an issue being self-aware about that kind of stuff, I highly recommend journaling. And it can take 3 minutes, it can take 5 minutes. Just start. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to write a whole page every time you do it. I write like a sentence or two sometimes,
Yeah, if
but
that's
I
what's
do
coming
it.
to your mind, right?
Right.
But you're checking off that box again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, Andrew, it's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you
Oh
and
yeah.
getting some things going. If you guys want to see more of this Iron Ethos podcast, make sure to drop the video a like, comment, share it with some of your bodybuilding or fanatics, lovers, and we'll see you guys on the next time. This has been Dash and Andrew. Peace.
Deuces.